Welcome to SI Now. It is Friday. I'm Amy Campbell, joined by Robin Lundberg, and the NBA All-Star starters have been announced, and no surprise here, LeBron James and Steph Curry are the captains.
In the East, it's LeBron, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Joel Embiid, Kyrie Irving, and DeMar DeRozan.
And for the West squad, we've got Steph Curry as captain, James Harden, Kevin Durant, Anthony Davis, and DeMarcus Cousins. 2 Pelicans in there. Robin, do you have any problems with any of these?
I'll start there. 2 Pelicans. That's 1 Pelican too many in the All-Star game.
As the old classic saying goes.
Yeah, fly, Pelican, fly. Get one of them out of here. And that would be DeMarcus Cousins. He is the player I wouldn't have in this game, at least amongst the starters. And there are a couple of guys who are more deserving than Cousins. I would start with Jimmy Butler. And there's a problem there, though, because he's designated at guard, and it's very guard-heavy, of course, in that conference. Then, if you're actually looking by the correct position, it's LaMarcus Aldridge. With Kawhi Leonard out all year, Aldridge has been very good for San Antonio. You know, they still have a very good record. The problem there is nobody wants to see LaMarcus Aldridge play in the All-Star game. So what is the solution to these problems? Forgetting position designations altogether when it comes to selecting all-star teams. It fits in with the modern NBA. How often do you hear that buzzword, positionless? And it makes for the most entertaining product on the floor. You get the 5 guys that can play spread out, get up and down the court, and probably the 5 guys who are most deserving that way.
Yeah, I would love to see Jimmy Butler in this game as well, and I think this is supposed to be fun, and this is the new NBA where guys are more versatile, more positionless, so I think that is a great point. Another guy that, I don't know if I would like to see him in there, but I want to give him a shout out is Al Horford, because first of all, go Gators. But I think he's been a top 5 defensive player in the league this year, maybe one of the best, on the best defense in the league, and he's a do-it-all guy for the Celtics. But like you said, this is the All-Star game. I'm not here to see anybody play defense. Nobody plays defense till the 4th quarter anyway. I want to see lots of fun scoring and points.
But what about all those kids on the playground who are hoping to one day play like Al Horford and LaMarcus Aldridge? All right, it's time to draft teams. One of us will be LeBron, and one of us will be Curry. So let's flip a coin to determine who is LeBron and who is Curry. I guess since LeBron has the first pick, that is what you want. You want to call heads or tails?
I'll pick heads.
Heads, all right.
Everybody wants to be LeBron.
And it is heads.
Yes!
So you get to be LeBron James.
I'm going first, and I'm taking Kevin Durant. I think he's the 2nd best player in the league. I would love to see him play with the King.
All right, so I have to think of this in terms of being Steph Curry, right? If I am Steph Curry and I am shooting from the outside a lot, I want somebody who can run up and down the floor with me and can rebound the ball. I'm going to go with Anthony Davis.
Ooh, I like that.
As Steph Curry.
All right, well, I was going to pick Anthony Davis, but now I'm going to pick Giannis.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you wanted Giannis, huh?
That's what I wanted next, yeah.
Well, as Steph Curry said yesterday, he wants Giannis on his team because he doesn't want to be dunked on. And again, I'm talking all-stars. I want to see the most fun, the most firepower offensively. Giannis is the guy there for me at number 3.
All right, since it is the All-Star game, I'm going to try and get funky and go against your team and see if I can strategically build my team a certain way. I'll go with Kyrie Irving. He's always been good in this style of game, and if I have Curry and Kyrie, I can really, really make your defense work.
Well, that's great because if I'm LeBron, I don't really want to play with Kyrie. That might be really awkward, so I'm going to go ahead and take James Harden, a guy who can score, who can do it all offensively, and again, that's what this is all about. I'm taking Harden there with my next pick.
That would have been my pick there. That first pick is actually more of an advantage than you think in this sort of game. All right, then I'm going to go with I guess I already have Anthony Davis, so I was going to say Embiid. I'll go DeMar DeRozan, and I'm going to lose. You have a better team than I do. I'm going to go DeMar DeRozan. So, I have that guy who can, in isolation, get the bucket in the front court. And since I already have Anthony Davis, I'm not trying to go big heavy. I think my best chance in this game is to go with one big and then a bunch of wing players and guards.
Well, I do know there's a lot of extra here in this game for DeRozan because this is his hometown, and his dad's going to be there, and they have a great tradition of watching the entire All-Star game every year. His dad used to VHS tape it for him, so I know there's some extra there, so don't be too disappointed about that one. I'm going to take Embiid because he's one of the most fun players, and he made the All-Star game, and Rihanna should go out with him. We'll talk about that in a minute, but he's another guy who's got those really big plays that are exciting to watch, those dunks, those shots. I'm taking Embiid there.
This wasn't planned, but I'm now going to take credit for it since I have DeMarcus Cousins. Yes. It just proves the point I was making at the beginning beginning
Yes.
of the show, that there shouldn't be 2 Pelicans on the team, and now my team is stuck with 2 Pelicans, and Cousins went last in the draft overall, because I do think there's a big drop-off. If you're looking for style of play and you're looking for actual just like stacking the deck talent, once you get beyond LeBron, Curry, Giannis, Davis, and Durant, then there's a little bit of a drop-off. Now, maybe Harden and Kyrie would have something to say about that, but I do think Steph is the only one of those backcourt players who completely changes the game.
I agree, and I don't want to see 2 Pelicans on the same team if I can watch that regularly on any night of the week. I think that's another reason why I don't agree with some of the criticism about Draymond being left out, because I can watch the Warriors anytime I want to all together. I want to see them all mixed up. That's what's fun about this. It's like fantasy basketball. I'm really disappointed, though, we're not going to get to see this draft. So this is the one that y'all got to see. The revolution is not going to be televised when it actually happens. So that was fun. We have our starters picked. Those guys are not the only elite group here, though. There's also another group of players who only got 1 vote and 1 player vote. And as Tim Cato points out, that was definitely them voting for themselves. This is hilarious to me. Robin, do you think this is a bad look? 1 player vote for all these guys, and it's clearly them voting for themselves.
Yeah, it is a bad look, not on principle. I don't care that you voted for yourself. I'm not hating on that, but you're telling on yourself when you vote for yourself. What would be really nice, I didn't expect Austin Rivers to get a vote, but if you were like Langston Galloway, if someone had voted for you and you didn't vote for yourself, that would make you feel really awesome inside. Yeah. Hey, someone's recognizing me, Langston Galloway. But when you see that these guys have 1 vote, clearly they voted for themselves. So it's not about the act, it's about the revelation that everybody's going to get very clearly.
Yeah, and I love Galloway's response, right? He's going to have fun with it. At least he's, willing to say, okay, yeah, this is hilarious. He's got those funny emojis, like a little tongue-in-cheek. Like, why would we not do that? It's hilarious.
Now, if you recall, Rihanna once famously curved Joel Embiid, to use the parlance of our times, telling him to come back when you're an all-star. That's a quote. Well, now that he is, Embiid was asked if it was time to reach back out to Riri.
Years ago, you were denied by a young woman who told you to come back when you were an all-star. Is there anything you'd like to say to anybody on TNT right now?
I mean, you should deny me back then, so why go with her again? So I have to pass that and move on to the next one.
You've got the mic. Anything you'd like to say?
Trust the process.
Thanks, Joel.
Oh, did he just turn Riri down?
So don't be mad at Embiid when it's on to the next one. Did he make the right move moving on?
I think he said the right thing. I don't know if he's actually moving on, but I think he definitely said the right thing. Robin, nothing makes a powerful woman more crazy than being ignored. If I'm Rihanna, I'm looking at this going, maybe I need to slide into the DMs there. You're not going to blow me off. I'm Rihanna. Nothing makes a woman come after you than blowing her off the way that he did. Now what he needs to do is go out with somebody else, post on social media, and she'll probably be after him.
Oh, that's good to know. Hey, Rihanna. Yeah, I'm moving on to the next one also. Did you know what Rihanna's name is?
No.
It's Robin.
Robin, look at this. We have a very special connection. I always knew I liked you. The Charlotte Hornets are willing to part ways with their star point guard. The team is making Kemba Walker available for trade, first reported by ESPN. This team is loaded with bad contracts, and moving Walker would be a complete reset for them, but they want teams to make offers for Walker and are hoping for a larger deal that would also take some of those heavy contracts off of their hands. So Kemba Walker available. Robin, which teams do you think should go after him?
Well, I think it has to be a team that's particularly well suited for his game. Look, Walker is a good locker room guy. He clearly isn't afraid of the moment at all, but he's undersized, so defensively you can't exactly switch every spot. And he's also, that scoring guard who's not quite on the level as the other guys who are MVP caliber players. So when I'm looking across the league, Philadelphia might be interesting. Denver is another interesting landing spot. To me, though, the best spot is a team that's on the fringe of contending, that is in desperate need of guard play and scoring in the backcourt, and that's the San Antonio Spurs. I could see Popovich getting the most out of Walker's game, and I think that would be the landing spot that would be the most intriguing to me overall.
Robin, I'm surprised you didn't say Cleveland when you were in here a couple days ago talking about how they need perimeter help.
Yeah, let's see, Kemba Walker and Isaiah Thomas play defense together and how that works out.
That'd be pretty sad.
Yeah.
I like the Spurs pick, actually. That's what I was going to suggest. I think Tony Parker is fallen apart, honestly, as sad as that is to say. I think they could really use a guy who, like you said, a great locker room guy who would be a great fit for that Spurs team that is a very unselfish team, can score at will. I think he'd be a really good fit for them. One
other spot could be Milwaukee in a 3-guard rotation with Malcolm Brogdon and Eric Bledsoe, who, of course, they already landed in a trade this year. Baker Mayfield felt the need to clarify on Twitter that he would play for any NFL team. This after he posted #GetMeToMiami during an Instagram event hosted by Kenny Stills of the Dolphins. Would Mayfield be a good fit in South Beach?
When I saw that, that was the first thing I thought of is, I'm from South Florida, and I know that a lot of guys cannot handle going to that culture. And it's not about the team, it's about the city. And I think Baker Mayfield is one of those guys. We saw, he had a couple incidents in college. He's a very lively character, public intoxication, running from police. A lot of people like to take that and criticize him as a draft prospect and say that he has, quote unquote, off the field issues. I don't think that those things are serious if I'm drafting him for my team. I don't think he should live in Miami where there's a lot of distractions, a lot of potential to get in trouble down there. He needs to be in a city where there's not really any place for him to get in trouble. So I think he's still a good prospect when it comes to those off the field things. I don't think any team would have to worry about that unless he's in a place where there's a lot of distractions and place, as Mom says, like nothing good happens late at night. You don't want to kind of be out where things can happen. It's a perfect comparison to Baker.
Well, you'd rather be in Miami than Cleveland, I guess, but for the reasons you stated, Cleveland makes more sense. I doubt they draft him, but it was kind of like the J.R. Smith theory when he went from New York to Cleveland, because you're hanging out at Applebee's or something over there.
Right.
But when you're Baker Mayfield, I do think there are a few issues here. I don't take umbrage with any of the stuff he did on the sidelines or the gestures, except for in combination with getting in trouble off the field as well. It's not the type of thing that makes me say he can't ever get past it or I'm going to not draft him because of it, but I am a little bit concerned. It's one of those, you put a mark in the book to go back to it and sort of go over it before you eventually make that pick. So anytime you have that and you have Miami, it's not exactly the best combination, but when you're drafting that position in particular, especially for need, you can't overreact to something like that.
That's a good point. And I think with Baker, too, there's a lot of questions about him with his height and his, other potential reasons why he may not be a good pro prospect. When you add this to that list, GMs talk about checking boxes. This is another knock with those other questions that could cause him to potentially fall. But a lot of teams need quarterbacks this year, and there's nothing better than that for Baker Mayfield. So he's a position of need, and he'll definitely be picked pretty early.
Now, so to some teams who aren't thinking about the NFL draft at the moment, we welcome in Jonathon Jones of the MMQB, who comes to us courtesy of Toyota. Let's go places. And it's time to go over the game plans for the championship games. Before we get to the Patriots-specific game plan, Jonathan, Tom Brady's hand injury, very mysterious. Do you think that affects their offensive game plan versus the Jaguars?
Yeah, it's impossible to know, right? I mean, the Patriots won't even say who ran into Tom Brady, the mystery Patriot that obviously all of New England would probably hate right now. We don't know how serious the hand injury is. We're all waiting on him to step up to the podium, and everyone's going to snap the quick pictures to see the laceration on the hand and where it could be. Is it going to be on the palm? Is it going to be, in the webbing of his fingers? And so until we really know what it's like, it's impossible to know just how bad this injury is. And then, of course, there's always the issue of gamesmanship and sportsmanship when we talk about the New England Patriots. How bad is this injury? Do you wish you still had Jimmy Garoppolo? Is Tom Brady's hand still attached to his body? All of those questions we do not know the answers to because this is a team that is coached by Bill Belichick.
Now, when it comes to their specific game plan, the Jaguars are more suited for the typical Patriots attack than most teams. They got Miles Jack and Jalen Ramsey to maybe cover Gronk. They can get pressure up the middle with just 4. Do you expect Belichick to pull one of his patented moves to sort of go against their weakness? Maybe the Patriots flip the script and go to a power running game?
You'd have to imagine that that's going to be the case, right? That's been Bill Belichick's MO for a very long time. That's what he does. He attacks your weakness. He finds it. He exploits it. And he especially does that in the postseason. You're exactly right, though. This Jaguars defense seems really well equipped to handle the Patriots. I'm not saying that the Jaguars will win and beat the Patriots like they stunned everyone last week in Pittsburgh. But look, you know that Tom Brady cannot throw 53 times against this team like he did last week against the Tennessee Titans. This is a defense that I'm talking about with the Jaguars that's created 4 turnovers in 2 playoff games. And, Brady hasn't taken care of the ball as well recently as he has in recent years. He had 8 picks this season that were his most since 2014. You look at a guy like Malik Jackson there in the defensive interior of the Jacksonville Jaguars line. He's getting pressure game after game. And so, yes, I think that you have to look to a Deion Lewis or a James White to get that power run game started. And then, of course, look, Gronk is going to show up. He's going to get you catches. He's going to get yards after the catch. He was second best this season only to Travis Kelce. He's definitely the greatest tight end in NFL history. So get the ball in Gronk's hands, pound the ball on the ground, and that's how you're going to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Now, on the other side, we know what the Jaguars like to do, and that's Leonard Fournette. Of course, the Patriots are going to try to stop that. Do you think the Jaguars are going to stick with what got them there, or will they, try to go deep down the field, something to throw the Patriots off?
Yeah, you got to dance with who brought you, right? And who brought you is the Jacksonville Jaguars defense. And so, as we have seen throughout this season, 18 games for the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to rely on their defense, and they're going to not allow Blake Bortles to mess them up, right? This offense has 8 turnovers in their 12 wins this season. Look, Bortles has gotten some hate. The truth is he's not a great quarterback. He's the worst quarterback that's remaining in the playoffs. He was the worst quarterback remaining in the playoffs last week when there were 4 other teams. And so you don't want to see him air the ball out. In fact, I went through it. He's 1 for 4 this postseason. In 2 games, he's passed the ball 5 times that has gone 15 yards or more in the air. They are not letting him take a whole bunch of shots. That's what you have to do with Blake Bortles. You have to keep the ball on the ground. Look, he escaped. We're seeing him right here. He escaped against Buffalo and against Pittsburgh. He can get on the ground and scramble a little bit. You want to give the ball to Leonard Fournette, but most importantly, Blake Bortles cannot turn the ball over. I do not see him airing the ball out this week against the Patriots.
All right, let's move to the NFC matchup and talk about the Eagles' offensive game plan against the Vikings. The Vikings having the #1 defense in the league this season, but last week we saw Drew Brees tear them apart. Do you think that Nick Foles learned anything from watching Drew Brees do that? What do you think the Eagles need to do to attack this Vikings defense?
Yeah, I think Nick Foles learned that he really wants to be Drew Brees, right? Unfortunately, he can't be. And Nick Foles is Nick Foles. Like, Foles is going to have to go to his playmakers. He's going to have to go to Torrey Smith and Alshon Jeffrey. Last week, he did not test the middle of the Falcons' defense. I don't expect him to do that this week against the Minnesota Vikings. Look on the outside. Look for your big target in Alshon. Look, Jay Ajayi in the backfield, he's going to have to get you into some manageable 3rd down situations where you can open up the passing game. Something that's going to be interesting to watch as far as the Vikings defense goes. Andrew Tebow, he's currently in the concussion protocol. There were reports earlier this week that the Vikings were hopeful that he was going to get out. He is such a crucial part of that Vikings back end when you look at a Harrison Smith and a Xavier Rhodes. And so if Tebow's in there, it's going to make life a lot tougher for Nick Foles and this Philadelphia Eagles offense.
Well, on the other side, we have another quarterback who we didn't expect to be here in Case Keenum. He's going to be facing a really tough Eagles defense and a defensive line that is really solid. Fletcher Cox playing out of his mind right now. Can the Vikings keep their guy upright?
It's going to be interesting. As you mentioned, this Eagles defensive front has been getting pressure and pressure all season. This postseason is no different. Here's something that I really like about Case Keenum, and it's a bit cliche when it comes to him. This guy is very, very athletic. He's slippery. He's sneaky. He's going to get out of some would-be sacks. You think you get a pressure on him. No, he'll roll left. He'll roll right. He'll go north. This guy can get out of pressure. I love Case Keenum's game. And look, he's also been a gunslinger for his entire career, going back to high school. That's what his dad was all about as an offensive coach. That's what he was about at Houston. Then you look at what he did last week against the New Orleans Saints. 9 of his 40 attempts went 15 yards or more in the air. He's going to air it out. You got Stephon Diggs, you got Adam Thielen, Jerick McKinnon, and Latavius Murray have been a great 1-2 punch, especially in the postseason against the Saints. And so I can see that continuing. Look, if all else fails, just make sure that Case Keenum has the ball in his hands with 6 seconds left in the game.
All right, so we've broken down these matchups in several different ways. Monday morning, when we're reading the headlines, who is the guy that we are going to be talking about after this weekend?
Yeah, I think it's going to be Patriots running back and kind of do everything player James White, especially in the postseason, right? He's a guy who really splashed on the scene in Super Bowl 51, where he had those 110 receiving yards, 3 total touchdowns. This is a guy that shows up in the postseason. You look at last week against the Titans, he had a touchdown catch and a touchdown rush against the Titans, as we see there. He had 0 rushing touchdowns in the regular season, both in 2016 and 2017. But when it comes to the postseason, Tom Brady loves him some James White. Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels love to call his number, and he shows up. This season, he averaged 7.7 yards per catch. He has a career average around 9 yards per catch out of the backfield. We know that Tom Brady's hand will be a factor. We don't know how much, and so you're going to want to get the ball out quickly, and you're going to want to get the ball to a guy who's proven his worth for your team in the postseason, and that's James White right there.
Well, as fantasy football players will tell you, you never know what Patriots running back is going to be the go-to guy. Thanks, Jonathan. Appreciate the time.
Thank y'all.
One running back people do know, but they may have forgotten about, is Cardinals star David Johnson. He joined us earlier this week to discuss his recovery from injury, the future of the team, and why he embraces fantasy football. You go into this offseason, is it tough to be on a team that is now without a coach and a quarterback?
No, we did definitely have BA was a great coach, and Carson was a great, leader and player and teammate and, friend of mine. But, my biggest focus this offseason is trying to get back, trying to get my wrist 100% and get ready for 2018.
When you reflect on Bruce Arians' time with you, is there a particular story that stands out to you?
One particular story actually has to do with Carson. We were in walkthrough, and we were going through blitz protection, and I had came across to pick up a blitzer, and I remember Carson threw the football, and I actually hit his hand, and his hand hit my helmet. He kind of shook his hand, and BA gave me this look like, that happens again, you're not playing for our team again. And I was a rookie, so I was very nervous. I didn't know what was going on. And, BA does not sugarcoat anything. He let me have it. And, that's definitely one of the things I will always remember is never get in the way of the quarterback.
Back to the quarterback. Now, if you go to the 2018 season and Blaine Gabbert is the starter, how would you feel about that?
Oh, I feel great. Blaine or Drew Sand, they're both guys that I've, gotten a great friendship with, and I've seen them both play, and they've won games with the Cardinals, so I'm very confident in both of those guys' ability to play and lead the team.
You talk about really looking forward to the 2018 season. Of course you are, after missing almost the entire year last year. David, how is your wrist doing?
Wrist is great. It's ready to go. I'm ready to go, and man, it's been a long season. It's probably the longest season I've ever been a part of just because I didn't play. I've been a cheerleader on the sidelines, basically the whole season. And it was a very tough season for me, so I'm ready to get back.
Yeah, it must have been really tough. How did you handle having to watch from the sidelines like that?
Really just the teammates were able to keep me feeling like I was still part of the team. And I definitely did get down. I got discouraged. I got disappointed in me not playing, me being on the sideline, but I had a great support with my family. My wife was great. And, those guys were still asking me questions. The running backs, Adrian Peterson, Kerwin, and those guys are still asking me, what I seen on the field while I was watching, if I had any tips for them and stuff. So we were able to, talk, and I still felt as best as I can a part of the team.
Now, you're a great player, and you play running back, which means you're at the top of a lot of fantasy draft boards. How many people talk to you about the fantasy impact of your injury when it happened, and how annoying was that?
Just about everyone, especially social media. I definitely didn't get on Twitter or Instagram or any of my social medias, as soon as the injury happened. And really, when they diagnosed it and said that I was going to be out on injury reserve, I definitely, stayed away from that. And till this day, I still get it. No matter where I go, there's some fantasy owner who is letting me know how disappointed they were in me for not playing for their team. And it's not really annoying. I think I just feel like it's part of the NFL now. Fantasy football has blown up, and it really just feels like it's another thing that players have to deal with. And you can embrace it or do what you want. But, as far as me, I embrace it. It's fun. It's a cool way to have different fans of not just, different teams, but players as well.
All right, David, so you're here for Rockin' Protein. How is that helping with your recovery?
Rockin' Protein has been great, especially with me not being on the football field. I had to learn a new way or change up the way. I had to stay lean and stay in shape. And Rockin' Protein has been great for me because it's a protein drink that I can just get on the go, especially now, me being having to do a lot of stuff. It's a quick drink, and the best part about it, I think, is that it has up to 30 grams, and it has no chalky taste to it, like most protein drinks that do. And, you can get different types with the lean, the recovery, or the muscle builder. So I was able to use it at different aspects of either if I'm training or if it's a recovery day. I was able to use it different ways. And so that's really why I fell in love with the drink.
Well, we're glad to hear that you're doing well. We're really excited for your 2018 season. Thanks, David.
Thank you.
A little bit of breaking news. The Mets have invited Tim Tebow to Major League camp for spring training. Amy, do you think this Tebow Major League idea will ever be something real?
Timmy Teebs, America's sweetheart. No, I don't think this is real. I don't think he's going to make the major leagues. But it's great for minor league baseball. It's great for the sport. Nothing super exciting really happens in minor league baseball. Fans aren't really showing up, except if Tim Tebow's there, the games are overflowing. So I think it's great for baseball. This guy is a very magnetic personality. Obviously, people love to talk about him. We don't go a very long time without talking about him. So I think it's great.
Yeah, I don't hate the idea of it. Yeah. I mean, it's fine. Maybe he had some sort of talent we didn't know about in that sport. Clearly, he's a good athlete. But it's not going to happen if you're just being objective about it, looking at the numbers. His numbers in low-class minor league baseball are not good at all. He has a little bit of pop, but his combined batting average, 226, on-base percentage, 309, slugging percentage, 347. Ugh. His completion percentage is better than his on-base percentage, and not quite his OPS, but very close, his completion percentage and his OPS, not getting it done at the minor league level.
But every time he hits a home run, it's all over Twitter.
We'll be back on Monday right here on SI Now Live at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. In the meantime, you can follow us on Twitter at SI Now Live for the latest updates and videos. But before we let you go, here's a look at what's in store for the weekend. It's time for SI Now's Weekend Drive, presented by Toyota. Let's go places. We'll begin with college football. It's the 93rd annual East-West Shrine Game. The game kicks off the college football all-star season with many scouts in attendance. Executive Director Harold Richardson explains the opportunity athletes have in front of them.
100 to 105 of the top college players going into the draft this year. And you get the players in, and we've made a deal in the last couple of years with the NFL. We get NFL coaches off current staffs. And as you know, this is a week-long job interview.
The West has had the upper hand recently, winning the last two matchups in a row. Next, we head to New England for the AFC Championship between the Jaguars and the Patriots. This is the 7th consecutive conference title game for the Pats, but only the 2nd time they faced the Jaguars at this stage of the playoffs, and the 1st time in the Brady-Belichick era. Patriots tight end Rob Gronkowski sees the upcoming challenge against the Jags' stout defense.
They got very talented players on both sides of the ball, especially on the defense. They got many, many great players, and it's going to be a big challenge. It's the best team we're facing all year. We're coming up in the AFC Championship game this weekend, so we got to be ready, we got to be prepared, and it's going to be a big, tough challenge for sure.
The Jaguars will have to get to Brady early. The Pats are 6-1 at home in the AFC Championship. Finally, we go to Philadelphia for the NFC Championship between the Vikings and Eagles. These two teams are facing each other for the first time this season and last met in Week 7 of the 2016 season. Vikings quarterback Case Keenum has been working hard with hand signals because he knows it's going to be loud at Lincoln Financial Field.
You know, we're communicating a lot right now to make sure that, you know, that we don't have to communicate, you know, or if we do communicate, that we're on the same page during the game, because I have a feeling I'm not going to be able to hear much, and they're going to be able to hear me do a lot of things. So, you know, for us, it's just executing, though.
This game should be intense.